Thanks to Riot, I was able to playtest Yunara.
Let me see this new champion real quick.
Thanks to Riot, I was able to playtest Yunara. So
Why she look like Syndra?
in today's video,
She look like Syndra and Kai'Sa. What?
I'll show you her abilities,
Is this not Kai'Sa?
exact tooltips, cooldowns, her gameplay and tips from Riot, as well as a lot of interactions with her abilities that everyone
The fuck did I just see?
should know about. Yunara's passive is called Vow to the First Lands.
What the hell did I just see?
Yunara critical strikes deal extra magic damage. Yep, that's it. Everyone should know about. Yunara's passive is called Vow to the First Lands. Yunara critical strikes deal extra magic damage.
So hybrid AD and AP?
Yep, Vow to the First Lands. Yunara critical strikes deal extra magic damage. Yep, that's it. Yunara's Q is Cultivation of Spirit. Yunara gains a stack of Unleash with every attack, plus an extra one when she hits a champion or lands a crit. At max stacks, Yunara can activate her Q to gain attack speed, bonus damage.
Just a built-in long-range hurricane.
At max stacks, Yunara can activate her Q to gain attack speed, bonus damage on hit, and will deal splash damage in a small area with
So do you need to press it?
to gain attack speed, bonus damage on hit, and will deal splash damage in a small area with each attack.
So you need to press it. Not permanent though?
This ability is automatically activated while Yunara is transcended, and that comes from her ult. Let's talk about the ult now before we look at W and T, as ult empowers all the abilities. Yunara's ult is called Transcend Oneself. Yunara taps into her full power and Yunara's ult
What are her W? He just skipped the W and E.
area with each attack. This ability is automatically activated
He just skipped the W and E.
while Yunara is transcended, and that comes from her ult. Let's talk about the ult now before we look at W and T, as ult empowers all the abilities. Yunara's ult is called Transcend Oneself. Yunara taps into her full power, entering a transcendent state for several seconds. That enhances all of her basic abilities for the duration. Yunara's W is called Arc of Judgment, Arc of Ruin. Yunara sends a swirling prayer beat out, which damages and slows enemies as it travels. At its endpoint, it lingers and expands for a moment, continuing to damage enemies who don't get out of the way. While transcended, instead of a swirling prayer beat, she fires a beam of spirit magic that slows and deals damage in a line. Yunara's E is called Kanmei Steps, Untouchable Shadows. Yunara gains a quick burst of move speed to chase down enemies, reposition or dodge skill shots. While transcended, instead of a move speed boost, this ability becomes a dash. Now let's have a closer look at Yunara's tooltips, scaling
I'm not gonna lie, she look like the ADC of Riven, like...
and cooldown.
What?
Here is the passive. Yunara auto attacks that are crits deal bonus damage. The bonus damage is 10%, but it also scales with 0.1% ability
It's like...
power. Yunara Q is her bread and butter. It's the ability that you will need to learn to play around. We will stop here for a moment, as there are plenty of things. As I already mentioned, you get 1 stack per auto attack, plus another one when you hit the champion or land a crit, and you need a total of 8 stacks to be able to activate the ability. It stacks pretty quickly, and the ability itself doesn't have any cooldown. Q passive also makes Yunara attacks deal an additional magic damage on hit, from 5 to 25 depending on Q level. Her Q active boosts her attacks for 5 seconds, providing from 40 to 80% attack speed, and makes her deal an additional magic damage on hit. Furthermore, her
Bro, she's just like Aphelios. Look how fucking big this shit is. Look how big this shit is. So she needs to just keep hitting. We'll try her out. We'll try her out. We'll try her out.
attacks spread to nearby enemies, dealing physical damage, scaling with 30% AD. If you don't attack for 6 seconds, you lose 1 unleash stack every half a second. But how does this ability spread? How many targets can she hit with it? How are on-hits applied? Well, let's look at the tooltip. As we can see here, spread attacks apply on-hit effects at 30% effectiveness and lifesteal also at 30% effectiveness. Yunara splash attacks spread in all directions. Even if someone stands in front of whoever Yunara attacks, she can still hit them with splash damage. And how many extra targets can she hit? there is no limit to the amount of units she can hit with her splash damage. As a result, her wave clear with Q activated is super good, and in teamfights she can deal a ton of AoE damage. Another super important thing about Yunara Q is that it stacks on everything you attack. It stacks on structures too. But what if you attack the structure with your Q activated? Well,
What the fuck?
good news for Yunara. Her auto attacks still spread through structures, like here with turret. That's another great thing for wave clearing. And not only
This shit gonna be broken. This shit gonna be broken. Any big AoE abilities like this always end up being broken, and they always nerf down the numbers to the point where it's unplayable. Look at Aphelios for an example. This champion is gonna get guttered. I guarantee you. I guarantee you on release it'll be super broken, and then after a couple of they're gonna basically this is what they're gonna do. This is what they're gonna do. I guarantee you. Clip this. On release, this champion is gonna have a 35% win rate. After 1 day, they're gonna hotfix buff it. After they hotfix buff it, they're going to give it another buff, give it another buff, give it another buff, and then they're gonna nerf it. How much wanna bet? That's what's gonna happen.
that, but attacks that spread also deal 250% damage to minions below 30% HP, ensuring you don't miss too many CS. What is also worth noting is that if you crit your target, the spread attacks will crit as well. Oof, her Q was pretty stacked. Now let's look at her W. Her W base cooldown is 10 seconds, reduced to 5 seconds while transcended. Both the initial hit and the damage per second area of effects at the end of W deal physical damage, but scale with both AD and AP. Initial hit slows by 99%, decaying over 1.5 seconds, so it's a really powerful slow. Empowered W, however, is like a laser version of W. Overall, Empowered W, however, is like a
This shit is broken. This is basically Jinx W.
version of W.
It's like Jinx W.
Overall, does more damage, but it's split half in physical and half in magic damage. Both of these parts scale with AD and AP. As you can see here,
Yeah, it's like Zeri 2.0 when you really think about it. It's literally Zeri 2.0.
her W AP scalings are pretty decent. Maybe she won't be playable as an AP champion, but she definitely will make a good use of any AP you get from attack speed items.
What
such
the
as Jinx and Fireblade.
fuck?
When it comes to W,
What was her
you get from attack speed items.
14 and 19?
When it comes to W, it's also worth noting you can shoot your Ws through the walls, no problem. And another thing you should remember is that the cast time of W is reduced with permanent attack speed you have. So this should make it easier to land your Ws in the late game when enemies get some more movement speed. Now let's have a look at Yunara's E. The cooldown of this ability is from 10 to 6 seconds. She gains from 60 to 80% movement speed depending on the level of ability.
Bro, she's just like
This is
Zeri.
also increased by another half when you move towards an enemy champion.
She's just like
Makes it a
Zeri.
perfect ability for chasing enemies. That being said, this movement speed boost decays over 2 seconds. When you activate Yunara's ult, your E becomes a dash, similar to Lucian's. You might be wondering, can she dash through the walls with that empowered E? Well, yes she can. This wall is about the biggest wall she can dash through with her empowered E. So cannot dash through the thickest walls, but through some thinner walls, yes. Another thing that's worth noting is that your ult refreshes your E. This means that before casting your ult, you usually want to use your E for the movement speed boost. Using E, ult, E is gonna be a very common combo for chasing or escaping. Now let's look at the final tooltip, the tooltip of your ultimate spell. Yunara's ultimate ability has a cooldown of 100, 85, 70 seconds based on the ult level.
That's so
When
low.
you use this ability,
Is that not a low cool?
5,
100-second cool. Wait, that's just 1 minute. Wait, one. That's never mind. I'm retarded.
70 seconds based on the ult level.
I thought it was a lot lower.
When you use this ability, you enter transcendent state for 15 seconds.
Where's that
So it's a
parkour?
pretty long
What up,
time.
brother?
I already mentioned that ult refreshes the E cooldown.
Holy
on cast,
shit.
But during the testing, I noticed that when
This champ's
transcendent
OP.
state wears off, it refreshes both her W and E cooldowns.
This champ is
Although I
legit gonna be
haven't
Aphelios
mentioned that it
2.0.
should do it. If this feature is intended, using your W and E right before your transcendent state wears off would make a lot of sense. Now let's talk a little about gameplay.
Oh, it resets!
Then state wears off would make a lot of sense. Now let's talk a little about gameplay. Yunara is a traditional auto-attack based
Oh, it resets!
AD carry, and Riot doesn't intend for her to be played in other roles. So Riot wants Yunara only as an AD carry in the bot lane. Yunara is intended to serve the player that embraces core skills, such as spacing, positioning, and high damage uptime. We've already gone through her abilities in details, so how should you play her? Let's start in lane. As Riot is suggesting, play safe until your Q is ready or about to be ready, and then look to start aggressing. Use your E to boost movement speed after you hit your enemies with W. That way, you can slow your enemies heavily. Once you get your ult, your opportunity to outplay enemies increases drastically. That being said, as Riot is saying, Yunara thrives in small scraper fights rather than massive, highly organized teamfights. But I still believe she should do pretty decent in typical teamfights when she has her team around her. On the other hand, when you play against Yunara, look at her usage of Q or ult.
What is the AA range? I feel like it's like... She gives me... I think it's like Draven auto attack range.
When you see her activating either of that, it is a good moment to disengage the fight and wait for her empowered Q to wear off. Yunara's ability to engage
a little bit more
relies heavily on her allies, or her ability to hit you with W.
575? How much is Draven? That's a lot. I think Draven's 550, no?
Empowered W. So try to dodge Yunara's Ws as much as possible. Yunara will make it to the live servers in the middle of July, precisely on July 16th. So what do you guys think about Yunara? Playing her was pretty fun. Let me know in the comments what do you think. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
That champ's broken. Her passive is one sentence. Oh my goodness. To counter Yunara, you need to track her Q activation time, wait out her ultimate, and actual game. To counter, you need to wait for your Rengar to press R and Q. I feel like it's very heavy auto attacking. That's what the champion is. It's literally just auto attacking. Kind of fuck with it. We might have to go back to playing ADC for it. Not gonna lie. Traditional ADC, yeah, it seems like it. It seems like it. I think the Kamehameha W is like very weird, but other than that, I think it's like fine. Does she go back to it? Like, does she? Hold up. Is it like the who's that mid lane champion? The bunny bitch?
She fires a beam of spirit magic that slows and deals damage.
No, so it's basically like Jinx W, Aurora. Yeah. Called bunny bitch.